Aidan had heard rumors about the abandoned house at the end of Grafton Street all his life, but he never believed any of them. People said it once belonged to a wealthy family who vanished overnight, leaving everything behind as if they planned to return. Others swore they saw lights flickering inside at odd hours, even though there was no electricity connected for years. Aidan wasn't scared easily, but curiosity had a way of pushing him beyond common sense. One rainy evening, when boredom outweighed caution, he decided to finally see the place for himself. He walked through the silent street, the wind rustling dry leaves across the cracked pavement, and stopped in front of the rusted iron gate. It hung crookedly, a sign of long neglect. Pushing it open sent a sharp screech through the air, and Aidan paused, listening. No movement. No voices. Just the hollow emptiness of an old street soaked in rain. The house rose tall in front of him, windows like dark eyes watching quietly. He stepped onto the porch, each footstep stirring decades of dust. The front door surprisingly wasn't locked. It swung inward with a slow, unsettling groan. Inside, the air smelled of mold and forgotten days. Faded wallpaper peeled from the walls, and a broken chandelier hung twisted like a dead ornament. Aidan switched on his flashlight, the beam cutting through the darkness, revealing old portraits still hanging. Faces of a family frozen in time, eyes following him as he moved forward. He felt a chill climb his spine, something heavy in the air as if the house itself was breathing around him. He walked down a long corridor, noticing fresh footprints in the dusty floor, too fresh to be old, and too small to be an adult's. His pulse quickened. Someone had been here recently. The faint sound of footsteps echoed from upstairs, slow and deliberate. Aidan froze, listening closely. There it was again. A soft patter, like bare feet moving across wooden boards. He swallowed, then forced himself to follow the staircase upward. The banister felt sticky, as though touched moments ago. On reaching the upper floor, he found a door slightly open, a dim light flickering inside. A warm glow, not from his torch but from something else. Candlelight. He nudged the door gently, revealing a room filled with children's toys scattered across the carpet, as if someone had been playing not long ago. But what stopped him cold was the music box on the table, slowly turning by itself, playing a sweet lullaby that felt too calm for the suffocating silence around it. A small rocking chair in the corner moved back and forth though there was no breeze. Aidan felt his throat tighten. Something wasn't right here. He stepped closer to the music box, reaching out, but before he could touch it, a soft voice, no louder than a whisper, spoke behind him. You shouldn't have come here. Aidan spun around instantly, but no one stood behind him, only the dark hallway stretching into silence. His breath shook as he gripped the flashlight tighter, scanning the room. The rocking chair had stopped moving, frozen mid-sway. The music box continued its tune, slower now, as if losing strength. Aidan forced himself to speak, though his voice cracked. Who's there? No reply. Only the faint echo of rain hitting the old roof. He turned back toward the hallway, trying to convince himself it was just his mind playing tricks, yet a cold dread clung to his chest. As he stepped out of the room, the hallway lights flickered even though the house had no power. One by one, bulbs glowed softly, old, dusty, impossible. Aidan felt a strange pull guiding him toward a door at the far end of the corridor. It was slightly ajar, and warm light escaped from its gap. He walked slowly, each step creaking louder than the last. When he pushed the door open, he found what looked like a study. Shelves filled with old books lined the walls, and in the center lay a large wooden desk with scattered papers, photographs, and a dusty journal. The room felt untouched for years, yet everything seemed arranged deliberately for someone to find. Aidan opened the journal, the pages yellow and fragile. The first entry was dated 1985. It told the story of the Harrison family, Edward, Margaret, and their 6-year-old daughter Lily. According to the journal, strange occurrences began after the father bought an antique doll from a traveling merchant. The entries became darker over time, objects moving on their own, whispers in empty rooms, Lily talking to someone she called the girl in the walls. The final written page ended abruptly with shaky handwriting, "She wants us. We cannot leave. If anyone finds this, run." Aidan's stomach tightened. He closed the journal, but something slid out from between the pages. A small photograph. It showed Lily standing in that very room, smiling, holding a porcelain doll with cracked cheeks and empty black eyes. At the bottom of the photograph, written in faded ink, were the words, "Do not trust her smile." Suddenly, the study door slammed shut behind him. Aidan rushed to open it, but the handle refused to turn. The lights flickered wildly, and the air turned icy. A soft giggle echoed from behind the desk, childlike but chilling. Aidan slowly peeked over the desk. And his blood ran cold. The same porcelain doll from the picture sat upright on the chair, head tilted, its glass eyes reflecting his terrified face. The doll's lips began to crack open, forming words that should never come from porcelain. "She's still here, Aidan. Do you want to meet her?" Aidan staggered back, heart hammering against his ribs. The doll's voice was barely above a whisper, yet it filled the room as if multiple mouths spoke at once. The temperature dropped further, frost crawling across the windowpanes. He reached for the door again, pulling with desperate strength, but it held firm like metal welded shut. The doll stood, its tiny feet scraping against the wooden table. Aidan felt the instinct to run, fight, scream, everything at once, but fear pinned him where he stood. The music box melody returned somewhere in the house, louder this time, echoing dreadfully through the halls. Then footsteps, soft, slow, barefoot, approached from behind the door. Aidan backed into the desk, scattering papers, journal pages fluttering like trapped birds. The handle began to twist on its own. He braced himself as the door creaked open. In the dim light, a little girl appeared, her dress white but aged with stains, hair tangled, face pale as moonlight. Her eyes were hollow, dark pits that seemed to swallow every shadow. She stepped inside, silent. The doll jumped down from the table and crawled toward her, moving like a spider, limbs bending unnaturally. Aidan could barely breathe. The girl raised her hand toward him, and though she did not speak, he heard her voice inside his head clearly. "Stay with us. Forever." The room trembled, books fell from shelves, candles extinguished themselves. Aidan grabbed the journal desperately, something inside him believed it held answers. He flipped through until a loose page fell out. On it was a single line, "Return the doll to the attic before midnight, or she will keep you." Time. He needed time. He dashed past the girl, shoving through the open door. She let out a shrill cry, unnatural and piercing. The hallway twisted like a maze, walls stretching and shifting. He ran blindly, gripping the doll tightly though its porcelain felt warm like flesh. Stairs appeared ahead. He climbed, 2 steps at a time, air thick and suffocating. He reached the attic door. Padlocked once, now wide open as if waiting. The room inside was filled with old toys, broken mirrors, and a single rocking cradle in the center. He placed the doll inside. The house let out a deep groan, as though exhaling after years. Silence fell. Aidan turned, ready to escape, but the attic door slammed shut, trapping him. He pounded, shouted, but no one answered. The cradle began to rock gently, like a mother soothing a child. He stepped back, horror growing in his chest. The girl appeared again, now inside the attic, her expression unreadable. She approached the cradle, placed her hand on the doll's cracked face. Both figures slowly turned their heads toward Aidan. The house lights faded, swallowing everything into darkness. The next morning, Grafton Street was quiet as always. The old house stood cold and empty, but neighbors noticed one new detail, a silhouette sometimes seen in the attic window. A young man staring out, unmoving, as if waiting for someone else to open that gate and step inside.